Today, a war of words between two supposed allies. President Donald Trump lashing out online against Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. In a scathing paragraph filled with falsehoods, Trump called the wartime leader a dictator without elections, and that he better move fast or he is not going to have a country left. Elections in Ukraine have been delayed since April of last year due to the Russia-Ukraine war, which enters its fourth year next week. Trump's comments stirred a global reaction. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who's hoping to be reelected this Sunday, said calling Zelensky a dictator is, quote, dangerous and false. Trump also accused Zelensky of duping the U.S. into sending billions of dollars in military aid.
Unfortunately, Trump lives in this disinformation space.
The post came just hours after Zelensky publicly criticized Trump for repeating Russian talking points. In particular, the notion that Ukraine bears responsibility for Russia's invasion. And just yesterday in Saudi Arabia, talks between the U.S. and Russia resumed, a stark shift in a U.S. policy that for years sought to isolate Russian President Vladimir Putin.
All of this definitely does not have a positive impact on Ukraine. I think Putin and Russia are really happy because they're involved in the discussions, and yesterday there were signals that they are the victims.
Well, good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. Like and subscribe. Give me a follow on Instagram at JGTalk2 and give me a follow on X at Green_Jericho. So you just heard it right there. Zelensky accused Trump of believing Russian disinformation because they're meeting together. So Trump said that, called him a dictator. And I'll read the Truth Social post that said a lot more than that, but that's where this is stemming from. And Zelensky, he's pissed off because Russia and the U.S. and other European leaders are meeting in Saudi Arabia to discuss a peace deal, a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine is pissed because they weren't invited. But technically, we want to get technical about it, Ukraine is there because we're there. We're America, and we're paying for all of their shit. So if you can't afford to supply your military with weapons and to keep your economy going and to keep your government going, and we are paying for absolutely all of it, then why do you need to be there? It would be like a bunch of adults sitting at the table and then one of them brought their son and they sat him over there in the corner. Why is your kid here? He's not contributing anything. He has no authority. He has no money. So why is he in here? This is a grown-ups conversation. This is the grown-ups sitting together at Thanksgiving, and Zelensky is at the kids' table. You want to be in there. You hear them talking. You hear them laughing. You want to hear what those adult jokes are and those adult conversations. You want to find out what the grown-ups are talking about. But you can't, Zelensky, because you don't pay shit into this. You have no contribution, so get in there with the little kids. Get in there with the little kids. Sit down with them. So at least you're one of the older kids. You got a little authority. You're in charge at the little kids' table. Does that make you feel better? You're one of the older kids. You're 14 or 15. You know, you got a little bit of fuzz on your lips, some hair on your nuts. You can tell the little kids what to do, but you're not ready for the adult table. You're not ready because you don't have any money. Because we pay for everything. So what do we need you there for? You're just an extra chair to fill. You're an extra mouth to feed. Get at it. Get the fuck at it. Come here, you little bastard. Huh? Get the fuck at it. That is disease. There's no reason for you to be here. We're footing the entire bill. So why do we have to invite you? We will come up with a deal, and then we'll give you a copy of the deal, and then you abide by it. That's your contribution. Your contribution is to abide by what we tell you. So, and he says, I will not accept. No, if I cannot come to table and break up cocaine on table and snort lines of cocaine while you guys are talking about peace deal, I will not accept.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused the United States of trying to please Russia's Vladimir Putin in what can only be considered as the first visible pushback against the Trump administration. President Zelensky said he does not support the pace at which the White House is pushing talks with Putin. Zelensky added that he will not accept a ceasefire deal with Russia if the United States does not include Ukraine in the talks. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio met his Russian counterpart in Saudi Arabia, and the two diplomats discussed a possible meeting between President Trump and Putin.
I told President Trump that we want to sign an agreement, but when we reviewed the details, we saw that there are no security guarantees. Security guarantees must be somehow reflected in this memorandum. Ukraine will not take part in the talks in Saudi Arabia. Ukraine did not know anything about them. Ukraine regards any negotiations on Ukraine without Ukraine as ones that have no result, and we cannot recognize any agreements about us made without us, and will not recognize such agreements.
Hey, Zelensky, hey. Shut up, all right? Shut your mouth. You have nothing to say. And as Trump said, you had 3 years, 4 years. What is it? Next week or some shit? We're coming up on 4 years since this bullshit money laundering scheme, war in Ukraine, was started. You had time. Why couldn't you get Sloppy Joe to drink enough Ensure so we had enough energy to set up a meeting with Putin and you guys could have figured this out? Why didn't Sloppy Joe send members of his State Department over there to strike a deal? Why not? 4 years. You had like 3 years and 10 months to figure this out. Why didn't you do anything then? But now the daddy's home and he's making shit happen. He's making moves. He's moving and shaking. Now you have a problem with it and you're mad that you're not invited to the table? Why? You have no place at this table. You did absolutely nothing. We paid for everything that has to do with this war and your society. So why would we invite you to the table? It makes no sense. But he's upset. And he poked the bear. And you know what happens when you poke the bear? Especially when you poke this particular bear. This bear has social media. So this bear is going to say something. And this is what the bear said. Donald J. Trump. Think of it. A modestly successful comedian. And I thought it was Vladimir, of course, because being raised in America, the Russians only have like a handful of names. Vladimir, Milosh, some the vodka. Like we don't know a lot of Russian names, and I thought it was Vladimir, but it's not. It's Volodymyr. Think of it. A modestly successful comedian, Volodymyr Zelensky, talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war that couldn't be won, that never had to start, but a war that he, without the U.S. and Trump, will never be able to settle. The United States has spent $200 billion more than Europe, and Europe's money is guaranteed, while the United States will get nothing back. Why didn't Sleepy Joe demand equalization? In that this war is far more important to Europe than it is to us. We have a big, beautiful we have a big, beautiful ocean as separation. On top of this, Zelensky admits that half of the money we sent to him is missing. He refuses to have elections, is very low in Ukrainian polls, and the only thing he was good at was playing Biden like a fiddle. A dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast or he is not going to have a country left. In the meantime, we are successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia, something all admit only Trump and the Trump administration can do. Biden never tried. Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelensky probably wants to keep the gravy train going. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. This country is shattered, and millions have unnecessarily died. And so it continues. End quote. That's what Trump said. That's true. $350 billion. Damn. So that means if we're 200 billion ahead of Europe, that means Europe has only put in 150 billion. America, one country, Europe, one continent, a bunch of countries, and they only put in $150 billion between all of them. And we put 250 billion. And the only thing in here I would disagree with or push back on would be that he duped America. I don't know. I don't think you can dupe somebody that wants to be duped. Then it's not duping them, is it? Duping is fooling somebody. But you can't fool somebody that wants to be fooled. They wanted that war to start. They wanted that to become a money laundering epicenter. That's what they did. Every time you woke up and checked your phone, here's another 50 billion, 60 billion, 25 billion, 13 billion, 100 billion going to Ukraine. That's bad enough to fight a war, but we are propping up their entire society. All of their small businesses, their large businesses, their government, every level of government. We are paying for everything. We are the rich parents, and our kid is in college, and we're paying for their tuition. We're paying for their apartment. We're paying their cell phone bill, their car insurance, their car note. We're paying for food. We're giving them a clothing allowance and some pocket money. And all you have to do is get good grades. That's it. We're paying for everything. We're footing all the bills. We're paying for their keggers. We're paying for them to go out. You've seen the videos and the clips of the 20-something Ukrainians at a nightclub. Well, Jericho, that's not near where the fighting is. Well, then why are we paying for it? We're subsidizing young Ukrainians to go out and drink fuzzy navels and then go have sex with each other. We're paying for all that. We're paying for their city to run. We're paying for their country to run. And I'm sorry, if I'm paying for your entire country to run, you don't get to go to the nightclub. That's like people here in America, they're mad because RFK is going to make the people on EBT, on food stamps, start buying healthy shit. Well, if I'm paying for you to eat, you got to eat what I tell you to eat. You don't get Takis and Sprite every day for lunch. You better get something that's leafy and green. You better grab something off that damn food pyramid toward the bottom. You need to stay midway and down to the bottom of the food pyramid if I'm paying for all of your shit. Just like in Ukraine, if I'm paying for all your shit, why are your nightclubs open? Why are your strip clubs open and your massage parlors and water parks and all this fun shit? If you got fun shit going on, then you don't need my money. Rat bastards. But he's mad. And you can't really blame Zelensky. He's had 4 years of the weekend dad. Your parents split up. Your dad gets you on the weekend. He's all about fun. He feels bad. So you can have whatever you want. I've seen it. Shout out to my man, Adam. I used to go to his house on the weekend. And when it was his dad's weekend, man, it was movie rentals and pizza. We were shooting his pellet gun out of his bedroom window and shit. Having a good time. So he's had 4 years of weekend dad. Everything he wants, everything he asks for, they send it to him. They send some B and C list celebrities out there to see him. Occasionally he has to squeeze and or nurse from Nancy Pelosi's big, veiny, engorged old watermelons. You got to do what you got to do, player. Every once in a while he'd come out to D.C. and give a speech in front of his financiers. Do a little coke, drink a little goat's blood, and he's back on his plane to Kiev, where everything's paid for again with a kilo waiting for him that was keistered by Gavin Newsom. Oh, it gets weird. What say you, damn it? Meet me in the comment section. Do you believe that Zelensky is a dictator? I do, since he silences all of his opposition and shuts down radio stations and publications that are against him. That's Dictator 101. That's dictatorship 101. Crush the resistance. And that's what he did. So that makes him a, you know, meet me in the comments. Is Trump right? Is Zelensky right? Should they have a say? Should they be at the table, even though they don't have a penny? Should they be at the table for the negotiations, being that they are the ones who are going to have to live under them, under the terms of those agreements? What do you think? I will follow you to the comments. But you know how we end these videos with a little good gun. That's where Americans flex their Second Amendment muscle and give the bad guys what they so desperately need. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. I'm out.
Police detectives are working to figure out the exact sequence of events that led to the deadly shooting here that killed one man. Now, they're focusing their investigation in front of this restaurant. They're interviewing witnesses and watching the surveillance video. This all happened around 4:45 this afternoon inside the Oriental Express restaurant on Marlboro Pike. Sources tell 7 News Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell, it appears a man came in to try to rob the restaurant, and after an altercation, it's believed an employee shot and killed the would-be robber. But police tell us it's still early in the investigation. Meanwhile, I spoke with the neighbor of some of the restaurant employees, and he says he was worried about their safety.
It's bad because, it shouldn't happen because this is that's where families come in, like to go to a shop, nail salon and hair salon. So people should feel safe coming to, place like this.